The following program is rated TV MAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
Oh, sorry I'm late, but after all those scotches, I had to piss like a racehorse.
Alrighty, what we have here is a 1972 Cadillac Millimeter coach-built hearse. It's about 21 feet long, hasn't ran since 1995, so says the title. Barely fits in the garage and weighs about, I don't know, 7,000 pounds. More importantly, I finally got the excuse to use some necrophiliac jokes I've been saving up over the years.
That a group of homosexual necrophiliacs have been going around to mortuaries offering them money to let them come in at night and spend a couple hours undisturbed with the freshest male corpse.
I can unleash those once in a while now. But the bottom line is I got this car for a specific reason. Naturally, these cars just don't show up on my radar because they didn't make many of them for the industry that they serve for carrying dead people. They're either in good quality condition for museums or in the shitty I've been set on fire once. And I can't, it can't be saved, so that's why I came in and picked it up for X amount of very little money. Worked out for me. I got the horseshit edition because it's more affordable. But again, it's not going to be the crack house, liquor store, betting tables type of car. That's what the Oldsmobile, that's what the Mercury's for. This car is going to be the sacrificial lamb. I want the motor. Just say, hey, I got a motor of a hearse that carried dead people. Often you can say that at a car show, but I want to take the motor out of this and put him over in Hades because he hasn't had his moment in the sun in a long, long time for very specific reasons. All that fucking abuse finally caught up to him, and he may have spun a rear main bearing, but either way, he's got no fucking oil pressure, so we got to do something about that, and this is my fix-it right there. Suppose I ran one parked, even though I've heard that fucking story a million jillion times. I mean, I'm not going to do the will it run and make it 1,000 miles home video here. I mean, I'll do a will it run because it hasn't ran since 95. See how it is inside the car, but the reason why I don't do it that way, and some people do on YouTube, they'll drive it a fucking million miles across a continent, but they got teams and they got videographers, they got basically NASCAR pit crew on their side. I work alone, that's why I don't do those type of videos. I pay $160 a year to AAA and they do all the hard work for me. I just make up a bullshit excuse and they'll flatbed it to us home, like no drive shaft, no brakes, bad steering wheel, no keys, I'm locked out, the motor runs but it doesn't turn over, no exhaust, bad headlight, overheats, bad transmission, can't get the keys to turn over, it turns over but doesn't run, bad rear pumpkin, bad rear brake cylinder, catches on fire, overheats. I could go on, basically. They just buy the fucking bullshit story and they haul it home. Works for me. I've been doing it that way for 10 plus years. I like to work alone anyway, but that's why I don't do those fucking videos that some people do, where they drive it home a million jillion miles and will it run that way. I will it run at home. Good enough. Oh yeah, it definitely smells like mice are having sex in it, probably presently as we're talking.
You can hear the mice humping in the wall.
Oh, that was so awesome.
But I got a solution for that. My little fucking pocket here. And no, it ain't no airplane bottle. Not yet. It's extract. Peppermint oil extract to be specific. You could use mothballs, you could use dryer sheets, but the mice are just gonna laugh at you. But if you use peppermint oil extract, they'll head over the fucking border into Mexico or Canada. They won't be around where you're spraying it. Think of it as holy water for rodents and whatever else that lives in your automobile. So, we're gonna start splashing some in there. They fucking hate the stuff. Little tidbit information about extract. You can get wasted off this shit.
I know that firsthand.
Go ahead, ask me how I know. Go ahead, ask me. Ask me how I know.
Say, you know, the liquor stores are closed and the bars ain't nearby, but there's a grocery store that's open. Just sneak yourself inside the bakery aisle, get a couple of extract bottles of vanilla extract or anything else. They'll get you tuned in. You know, a little tidbit foot of information for you. It'll have to do for now. Oh boy. There you go. See that? See that big gaping metallic vagina that's sawed into the steering column? So there was a locking cylinder there at one point. Not anymore. Doesn't matter. You either go by the screwdriver or just do everything from the fenders forward. So hot wire it straight to the battery, or starter I mean. No big deal. There's 101 million ways to skin a cat here. Although it does look like it has a manual choke. Nothing wrong with that. Half my fucking cars have that feature. Really bare bones. It's like a Biscayne. Fucking A, it smells like Buffalo Bill's basement in here. Yeah, I don't like the fucking smell. Yeah, we're gonna be the fucking hood forward on this project anyways. Yeah, let's get the fuck out of here. Oh man. There we go. Someone had this vehicle and they converted it into like a, like a party vehicle. Hearses typically don't have this type of amenities. Open up, you fucker. Okay, they don't typically have these type of amenities. Chairs, carpeting, seats. You could fuck back here. There's not enough room. Headliner's okay. What do we got here? Uh-huh. I mean, it would be a decent parts hauler, but it's not enough interest to make it a work vehicle. Ooh, yeah. Well, it's got a lot of nature all over it. And a lot of fucking rust. Holy shit. Ugh. Heavy bastard. Ah, Bacardi. Oh yeah. I don't know the entire, life history of this damn thing. It was a pretty quick deal. But the paint is just horrendous. Holy shit. To me it looks like it was on fire at one point. Like it just got burnt or baked off. Maybe. I mean, I wasn't around for the last 30, 40 years of this fucking thing's existence. It's possible. I mean, I do like the patina on it. So you get a top view. Alright, let's get inside the engine bay here. That's where the real fucking money is. That's why I spent a couple $100 on this thing. That's what I wanted it for. It's going to need about 400 hands to open up that hood, so I'll get back to you in a second. Okay. Well, it's there. It's an engine loaded full of grass, mouse droppings, and everything you can name. It's there. It's points, as it would be. It's 1972 here. 74 was when they started putting HEI. Yeah, I'm not going to throw everything off the engine on Hades. It's like there's good parts on the carburetor, the air breather cover, the headers. You know, distributor are going to convert this to HEI. Yeah, reuse that alternator because I lost mine. What else? I don't need that. The radiator's kind of fucky. Oil's black as sin. Come on, you bitch. Yep, it's going. Slowly but surely. That ain't locked up. Should have done that with gloves, but fuck it. Like I said, now you got, up close and personal, or closer to it. The motor's dirty, intake's just full of, debris. But there's no, peripherals like air conditioning. There's a lot of crap that's not in the way, but it wouldn't need to. This is a commercial vehicle. Think of U-Haul for dead people. Basically what it is. But I'm thinking, this has got to be like my 7th fucking Cadillac engine I've dicked around with, so I ain't worried about it, even though it looks horrendous. So did the Valdez when I first found it. It's almost a similar story, how they just sat around, but that motor came around, so I'm confident about this one. I'm thinking the easiest way to yank the fucking thing out is with the transmission. Less bolts that way. Cut the drive shaft, get the motor's remote out, take the hood off, and out it goes. Less bolts that way. You're not going to do the transmission outside that car, but we're talking about 14, steps ahead while we're looking at it today. First step is just to clean the damn thing out. However, I didn't pay a couple $100s to bring this home without knowing the motor doesn't turn over. It does. I did it by hand on the fan blades. So I did that. It does turn over. It's a dry motor, you gotta understand. It hasn't built up compression. Those rings probably hasn't come around. Those cylinders are fucking dry, so it's easy to turn over that way. For to hypothetically get it to run, the compression to build up because the oil rings will come around, so it'll be a little bit harder to turn over. So it's just dry, because it hasn't ran in 30 fucking years. But it does got oil, it did turn over. Tried hot wiring the fucking starter, but it just clicks because there's a lot of crunchiness inside the starter. That's what happens when you sit on moist grass on all 4 flat fucking tires. Yeah, it's a given. But like I said, if the Valdez came around, I'm pretty confident about this one. It's going to be a good donor car for Hades with a perfect backstory. That's what I like about it. 472s are all the same, but you got bragging rights with this. It came out of a fucking hearse. It carried dead people. And a story like that belongs with Hades because it's just the nature of that particular car. So we'll scoot you around, look at more of the other features of this engine. And it is a 472 for you guys, just so you should know. 500s are exclusive to Eldorados. But in 75, Cadillac didn't give a flying fuck no more. Everything gets a 500 anymore. Kind of like Oprah Winfrey giving everybody cars on her TV shows. In 75, everybody gets a 500 if you're a Cadillac, except for Seville. They got old 350 fuel-injected cars, 425s. We'll get to that subject on another time. I'm a self-professed expert on these engines because I've dicked around with them for so long, for so many times. Oh yeah, that's gonna be a job. Gotta get rid of the mice condos. Who knows how long they've been building that up in there, but it's gotta go. Gotta get evicted. look at that. Look at the difference that little bit of work made. I can see engine block. I haven't seen that much sucking since the last time I logged into Pornhub. But it's clean now. You can see block. You can see cast iron. That's a start. Although that valve cover with the gasket hole in the middle has got me concerned. Mice might have gotten in there, so that should be taken off to inspect. And then after that, gonna get that starter. We're gonna get that removed because when I first found the car, I tried to see if it would turn over, from the last owner's property. You hot wire just clicked, so the sim load shot, but the whole starter might be shot for all I fucking know. So that's got to come out. Lift the car up and take that out, and might as well just get it rebuilt. That ain't that too expensive. What's the point of doing all this? You can't get to turn over, so. Two things is going to happen. Starter and valve cover. That's next. But we're making headway. It always looks worse before it gets better. I know that much. I wonder what surprises is going to... I'll fucking find out on it. Okay, here we go. I was expecting worse. It's just you got that vent, that hole right there with the gasket. I want to make sure there's no mice in this inside here. But surprisingly clean. I'll get you close in on that. This is surprisingly clean. Well, I'm actually impressed already, so that side checks out. It's no better looking than the other car I got. Hades looks just as clean. Next step is to slap this back on, tape over that hole, and then lift the car up and look at that starter and anything else underneath, and hopefully that all checks out. So let's get to that now. Okay, initial inspection, oil filter. It was white. Whatever the fuck that meant. Oh, that's not good.
Conductor, we have a problem. Conductor, we have a problem. Conductor, we have a problem. Conductor, we have a fucking problem.
That's in there about an inch. Should be like this. Huh. Fuck. That could be an issue. That oil pan's pushed in about an inch in the back part. That's where you drain the oil right there, that side, so... I'm thinking the pickup screen's on this side. Well, it's supposed to have 3/8 of a gap between the floor of the pan and the pickup screen, so... I mean, I gotta drain the oil anyways, just for the sake of the motor, so while I'm doing that, I'm gonna give this thing a colonoscopy and look inside there with a borescope, make sure there's still a gap between there. My guess what happened was, the car did sit on 04 flats. I mean, it's evident of the frame. It is kind of rotted out in some spots, unfortunately. Doesn't matter to me, but for the car's sake, it's not good. But I've seen many cars that rest on their bellies and that never once dented the pan. My guess is the last owner, he had a tractor forklift. He must have unintentionally dented, lifting up the car, getting it ready to be picked up by the flatbed. And once again, yet another car that I bring home off a forklift, or involved with a forklift, gets damaged in some profound way. Oil pan this time. You just drive shaft, sometimes floor, but I don't need this pan, thankfully, because I need a mid-sump to put it in the 77 style model cars.
But ice cream with rich, delicious Hershey's chocolate syrup is very, very good.
Black is sin. And we got it sported there, and there. And holy shit. Took me 3 times to finally get that nut to cave in. That whole side of the frame is just shot. It just pushes all the way in through the frame into the floor. Yeah, that's dissolved frame on the floor there.
That was fucked.
That was a bit fucked.
I mean, that's the only way to increase the surface area so it doesn't fold in. Even though it's supported on 3 ends, I'm still not satisfied. I'm gonna make sure this thing doesn't fall in. The next day, it just keeps on going downhill on this thing. One thing leads to another. That's gonna be for the starter. Oh boy. Tried using the bore scope tool inside the oil pan because it, you know, dented severely on the back part. Couldn't tell much inside the oil pan. I mean, the resolution on the screen just isn't detailed enough to see what the fuck I'm looking at, so I think we're just gonna have to fucking wing it, I guess. I mean, this thing ain't gonna suck it up. I mean, that dent, even if it is close up to the pickup screen, it's not gonna make a hermetic seal, so, and I'm only concerned letting this motor run and idle for about 20 minutes to see if it holds its oil pressure. Beyond that, I don't fucking care. I don't even need this oil pan to make the conversion over to Hades because it needs a mid-sump pan. This is a front sump pan. Whereas the frame goes around the motor on these older Cadillacs, where on the after 77 and up, it goes underneath. Hence the mid-sump. If this was an Eldorado, I believe it would be a rear sump pan, but we're not talking about that. We don't have no Eldorados. You know, just for the record, 2 guys butt-fucking each other at a pride parade is less gay than this. This don't do shit. This don't do shit. This didn't have a chance. Never had an oil filter put up this much of a war. I guess it's the first time for everything on this. Yeah, but this is extremely gay right here.
Extraordinarily gay. Steeped in gayness.
What other option we got left is the strap. Holy shit. Come on, you bitch. Come on. There we go. Come on. There. Fucking whore. Oh. So this is the progression into the asinine of this oil filter and how I got it off. You know, you want to use this typical tool first. Wasn't enough. Moved on to the socket adapter. That wasn't enough. Got into something that's a little bit better, but just crushed the oil filter. Wasn't enough. That actually broke. Which is, you know, impressive to say how strong that oil filter was on. But what ultimately led to the victory was this. This is what is needed to take off something that should take 2 minutes. You know, just for the record, oil filters don't need to be torqued down like a fucking head bolt. Now we're at the point of doing the oil pressure gauge. We're going to take the factory sensor out. Just does a light, doesn't do me any good for numbers. I'm going to put this in. You know, it kind of look like that in the back, sticks out like a flower. We're straight up Mills Fleet Farming in it. Get it straight from the hardware store, but this will work. Plumb it in, hopefully get 50 psi cold and 30 psi warm when I get to the point of bumping it over. Get the 10W30 and the transmission fluid in it, getting it good and clean. I'm going to get all good and dialed in. The more I get dialed in, I'll get dialed in, this will get dialed in. We'll be sitting good and fancy. Let's get to it. Oh yeah, see that? That's, I had to use like a 1-inch extension, a 3-way, and one end of that 3-way is where the factory, I had to reuse that factory sensing unit just to plug the hole. 90-degree bend, an adapter, and then here, and there. Yeah, it's pretty fucking hackery, but that's what you gotta do when you only have the parts in your tool chest and you don't want to go across town for more parts. Make what you have here in the garage. But this should be enough just to see what it's doing when it's idling when they get to that part. Oh yeah, Menard's finest. I often give most of my money to the hardware stores and auto parts stores anyways. Usually how it goes. I do have a long pour here. This thing hasn't had fresh oil in 30 plus years. Poor engine. Typically go with the conventional oil. I know you could run synthetic, but that'll just go through your old gaskets and your car will just sweat like a fat chick on a treadmill. Well, the motor part at least. Rather just stick with what they were meant for, conventional. I wouldn't even do the synthetic blend. Like half synthetics, half conventional, where the fuck they were, you know, advertising. I just go straight SAE. Now here's the clincher. Now here's the key here. Transmission fluid. Look at that. This will just clean it out some. 1 quart of this with 4 quarts of regular oil. Run it for like 100 miles or so. Now clean it out some. More hackery at its finest, but I think we're getting somewhere. Listen to this. It's turning it over. Okay, I made a bunch of white lines on the belt just to, you know, just follow its motion. Let's see what it does. Well, it did something. It moved it. Sounded, you know, pathetic, but, you know, its starter's garbage. Yeah, this is the type of fuckery we're doing. Direct to it. Well, even though the starter turns over doesn't mean it's any good. Well, the motor's not locked up. I mean, that confirms it at least. So, we're going to take it from there and sort out some more odds and ends. The mystery deepens, I guess. Alright, some fiddle fucking around. Able to get this thing to chooch over a little bit more faster, so let's get it situated here. I got the spark plug out. Everything's connected. I'm going to see if this thing arcs. Oh yeah, I gotta hit the fucking ground. There we go. See if this thing arcs right there. Nope. Although it does turn over a little bit more faster compared to the other way when the battery's on the ground, but still. There's probably no power getting to the coil, or you can hot wire that, or at least the motor's not locked up, so. You see, it all starts with this. And I had to borrow some wires off it. They used to go in that direction. I'll get to that spot in a moment. But I borrowed this and this. It used to be connected from here to back to the firewall to bridge the gap from that to the solenoid. So, you know, battery to here with the wire. You know, it acts like a key. But we follow this pattern. This is what they did, not what I did. The last owners did. Oh yeah, that's in the woods, you know, comparable to soldering. That's, you know, if you live in the woods, that's your version of soldering, I guess. I wouldn't say hillbilly style engineering, but fucking hey, not even I would do that. Well, I tell you right now, I'm not gonna finger bang on the ignition source right there. It's all points. I don't want to deal with it. I'm sure if I fix on it long enough, I'd figure out what's wrong with it. I know it's just not sending spark. I mean, I already tested that off camera, but I'm not gonna, you know, fiddle fuck with around it. This thing it's working half time, and it's like, ain't gonna bother, because this is gonna be an HEI setup anyway. So I'm gonna take that distributor and throw it in the Mississippi along with the coil, And I'll borrow one from a car I got off a junkyard. Came out of a 77 Eldorado, but it's a 425, but those distributors will all fit. But I'll give you a little bit of information regarding that. You don't want to use a 425 distributor in a 472 or 500 for performance orientated. You want to get some, you know, if you're going to race a motherfucker. But if you're just cruising to the, you know, the casino, the liquor store, or church, well, a regular 425 distributor works just fine for a daily driver usage. It's got a timing curve. They're changing 77. It's for economy reasons, for, you know, saving fuel and whatnot. Timing curve is different on pre-77 compared to 77 and up distributors, which is why you don't want to use a 77 425, well, 425 distributor in general on their older model Cadillac engines, because it holds you back on performance. But if you don't care about that, if you just want to go to the liquor store and back, it'll make deal on that. And because we're just testing the engine as it is inside the car, it's good enough for that. That's why I got it. 40 bucks. Let's go prime that motor. Okay, we're engaged. We're making oil pressure. It hit 40. Oh yeah, straight up to 40. There, that's how you do it.
He's done all his shit in 3 weeks. Look how cockeyed he looks, Pepper.
Yeah. Now let's get this fucking motor to run. But I was bold enough to try the old spark plug wires that was on a points cap and just rested it on there. It wasn't a secure fit, it was just literally resting on the connections. I thought that would have been enough to get sparked on the plugs, but it's not. So I went to the O'Reilly's and I got me the cheapest set I could find, and I'm pretty sure that'll work. You know, a spark plug wire set for a Cadillac engine retails at around $40, but this is meant for a Buick 350 for like $21.99. You know, this is cheap fuck economics 101. I mean, the geometry of a Buick 350 and a Cadillac is similar in the sense that the distributors are on the front, so wire placement and length shouldn't be any that different, and GM is GM and wire, so it should all click onto place. So really, I got a set of wires that should work for about $20 less. I'm going to try that, get them all lined up. Hopefully that's what it needs. Just want to see it spark, and if not that, then I'm going to have to go with the spark plugs. Okay, here's a tip for you guys and gals. This actually starts off as a question. So if you're fucking around with spark plug wires, and you're pulling it off the spark plug, and the little motherfucker inside there, the little metal jacket that goes over the ass end of the spark plug, you pull it out, and it just goes with the spark plug and rips off the wire, and you're forced to take the boot off, put another one on, crimp it on, and slide it back on. You know, it's a daunting, it's a pain in the ass. The reason behind that, because there's nothing in this design, the shape, that keeps it from sliding out. I mean, how many times have you ever had that problem in a 90-degree bend or a 45-degree bend? Probably never. I never have. But I've had this problem multiple times. It's usually on this end, because you pull it off, it loses the tug of war internally, and it just stays on the spark plug. So you're forced to do that daunting, dumbass task of re-crimping it back on, re-sleeving the boot. But the way around it is, you use this on your motor end, use this on your distributor end, because if you're pulling it off the spark plugs, you got this 90-degree corner to wrap your finger around, got all the damn torque, like you're yanking the starting motor, you're yanking the cord, and it's not going to separate, because how can it if it's got that 90-degree bend? You know, it's the equivalent of, you know, raping a fucking square hole with a square peg. You just got size resistance, you know. It's not going to go through and it's not going to separate. Whereas this, you put this on your distributor, you got all that room to wrap your fingers around the base, and you can pull it off cleanly and it won't separate. And each end doesn't matter. The motor's not going to notice the difference if this is on the motor, if this is on the distributor. It's all the same connections. Think of it like a double-sided dildo. They're both sides are the same. I've done this trick for many years, never had a problem once. I never had a separation issue. So I put the motherfucker straight end on the distributor, and the 90-degree bend or the 45-degree bend on the motor end. Problem solved. Don't have to do that separation shit fix. So that's a little tidbit for you guys. If you don't like that issue, do that. Your motor might look silly, but you ain't gonna have that problem. Okay, it's all hooked up now. Let's see if we can get spark finally. That was spark. Finally. Now we can finally get somewhere with this engine. I have to jump start the battery, but hey, spark is the key. That's the start before it actually, you know, runs. So I did jump start this thing for a couple of minutes off the Oldsmobile, so hopefully it's got enough juice to do it on its own. If not, I'll have to run these two in tandem. Get some of that starting fluid. Hope they don't backfire. Kick that bitch up to 50 psi. Do it again. It wants to run. Alrighty, keep working at it. More fucking go juice. I have to play with the timing too, of course. But it's close. Yeah, it doesn't have no mufflers either, but I'm gonna mess with the timing a little bit. Okay. Refresh. I might have to jump it. Not sure if you can hear it over the Oldsmobile running, but you'll know when this car's shaking, it's running. Oh yeah. This fucker wants to run. I think I found the sweet spot on the timing. Burns through that starting fluid quick. Alrighty. Alright, check this shit out. Get a little bit of 91 octane. Fill in the bowl. First Venturis. My version of an ignition switch. Hammer on the throttle. I can't reach with my right arm. Check this out. Sounds okay to me. Fuck yeah, man. You know what this means? Fuck yeah. Hasn't ran since 1995. Today. That's quite the jump. Good oil pressure, didn't sound that bad. Even though it's just, I don't know, 15 second, 20 second run, whatever. It's encouraging. Now I can get it off the boat tank or a little gas tank I got in the back of the garage. You get this thing running for 15 minutes. If the oil pressure stays stable, you know, without overheating, of course, just you monitor the vitals. Well, I'd say it's good enough to rip out of the fucking car and put it in the Hades. That's the next step.